Good morning. It is the first day of the reading rush. I'm very excited. Oh, it's actually drinking temperature. Sweet. So, yes, today is a bit of a busy day. I need to film my self-tape for an online drama club. I am still not having my voice because I just woke up. Hopefully that will mend as the day goes on. It sounds horrible to me right now. I'm so sick of being slightly sick. Anyway, so the plan is I'm going to start Alias Grace and we'll see what happens because it's a big one. So yep, just while I have breakfast, I'm gonna do that and then I'm gonna jump straight into self-tape. Hopefully that doesn't take too long or break my spirit too much. And then later I have a singing lesson like in the afternoon, and then at night I have rehearsal. So we'll see how much reading I can fit in there. I've picked mainly classics, adult stuff for this readathon. So I really hope I can read them fast. Also, I'm so freaking excited. I have the Reading Rush journal. It came just in time. It is 12:18. I have read a little bit, but I've been a bit busy with acting stuff. So I had a masterclass this morning and I just finished doing some self-tapes. And I think I have one I can use. It's just which one I choose, because I'm like, just different choices slash just like inner critic being like, I can see you thinking. But maybe that's not a bad thing all the time. We'll see. But yes, so Alias Grace, only about like 34 pages in. My plan is to maybe rewatch some of my self-tapes, have a shower, singing lesson, read, rehearsal, read. It is 10:09 on Monday. It is the first day of the reading rush. I haven't been doing a lot of reading. Yeah, I'm going to read till I just fall asleep. I'm about 50 pages into Alias Grace. I'm enjoying it, but there is a bit of like brain work going on. Slash, like it's dense-ish, but interesting. So we'll see how we go. I'm enjoying filling out the journal. There is one thing that I'm just kind of improvising how to fill it out. This little doodad at the bottom, that's just like reading sessions and the number of pages. So I've just kind of put it by like tens and then number of sessions rather than time because that's like hard. But even sessions is a bit like, well, if I get up and come back, is that now a new session? Questions. It is 10:40 on day 2. I've just been chilling in bed for a while. Just read 40 pages of Alias Grace. I didn't end up reading that much yesterday. I think I was on page like 60, which that's pretty low for the day. And I think on average I have to read over 100 pages a day to finish everything. So it's not looking good. But it's early days. I think I might also start another book today because like I'm enjoying this, but it is slow. So it might be the kind of thing where I'm like, okay, I read 50 pages of this and then I can read something else and then come back and then blah, blah. Hello. Okay, it is 10:06, day 2 still. I was going to update before I left the house, so it's been a while. Oops. So I ended up reading more of Alias Grace. It's really picking up. We're getting some origin stories. And it's kind of reminding me of Name of the Wind, but like it's tragic, but so interesting. And it's, you know, already starting to be like, okay, let's understand this character. Also, I managed to catch a Twitter reading sprint, which I was like, so excited about because Australia time is just so wildly different that it was difficult to catch one, but I caught one right after I finished work this afternoon and I started the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So I only got about... Look, I read 6 pages of this in my break, because this is the one I'm reading outside of the house. And then I read 15 more pages during that sprint. I had to go to the library to return a book. It was still open for about like half an hour or so, so I kept reading. And now I'm on page 50 of this. This is fun. And yeah, I'm going to have to get creative how I read this outside. Also, if my dogs are barking, sorry. They're barking at my mum to not be asleep because they're needy. So yeah, there's no chairs at the library to avoid people staying there, which I understand, so I just kind of sat on some stairs in the kids section. But yeah, I might take myself out to a cafe or if it's nice enough outside, I'll just sit outside. So I'm gonna have some dinner and then I have rehearsal, but I'm gonna try and read some more Alias Grace. Okay, it's technically day 3. It's 12:20 and I managed to catch a reading sprint and I didn't think I'd be awake, but I did have some caffeine, so I think that's kind of keeping me awake now. I'm still enjoying Alias Grace and I think I'm just gonna do some reading sprints until I just fall asleep. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Alright, 11:38 a.m. on the 3rd day. I keep getting up late because I'm just exhausted lately, so that's fun. I managed to read a bit of Alias Grace this morning. I also spent some time just like on YouTube and Facebook this morning, so that kind of chewed some time away. So I've read 20 more pages of this. I'm excited. I do have like double work today, which is still not as crazy as some other people's work. It's only about 5 hours, but yeah, so first week back, new kids, hopefully they like me and we get along and not spread the germs. Alias Grace, I must say, I am enjoying it, and there was a moment where like there seemed like there was a bit of an attraction between Grace and Dr. Simon Jordan, who's like her psychiatrist. Because we're seeing from their separate perspectives. She was like, ooh, I feel like butterflies in my tummy, or like I'm melting. And then when we get to his perspective, he says something similar, like, oh, I'm feeling things. And I was like, oh, okay. And I noticed on the blurb of the book, it said something about like, ooh, it's like sexually charged or something. And I'm like, okay, well, it doesn't seem like a smutty kind of book, but maybe they're gonna happen. I hope it's not like in a rapey way if anything does happen, because that would just be unfortunate. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm down, let's do this. But then we read a bit more from the doctor's perspective, and I don't trust him. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. He's fucked up, man. Like, I would argue he's more fucked up than Grace at this point, because, I don't know, she just seems like she's been through some shit. I still don't know if she did it. But he just is very, like, perverted. Like, he seems like he could be a rapist. And he's like, oh no, but I'm not saying, because I think the distinguishing factor between sanity and insanity is self-restraint. So he has it in his head that all men think like this. So he has his lodgings and his landlady, and she collapses. And, you know, aside from being like, oh, is she okay? His first thought is like, oh, this mental image of her like with ripped clothes, her legs up in the air, and messing around with her when she's unconscious. And I'm like, mate, who the fuck are you? What are you doing? I don't like where this is going. Is he going to try to take advantage of Grace? It's interesting to see the questioning from both perspectives, because he's like, oh yes, I am totally going to get the answers I want out of her. And she's just kind of giving the answers she thinks she could give. And he doesn't seem to realize that she can just avoid things or think them without saying them. And yeah, so she starts telling her life story. It's tragic. And when we get back to his perspective, he's like, oh yeah, that was kind of boring and annoying. And I'm like, this guy is a psychopath. I don't think he actually cares about people. And he has his mum always being like, oh son, when are you going to get married? I need some grandchildren. And he's like, yeah, I'm not bothered. Yeah, as well as the whole, he has this little spiel where he's like, oh yes, well, as I was traveling for research, I like hired some prostitutes because, you know, how could I understand something if I don't experience it? And I'm like, is this guy for real? So I'm like, So yeah, I think it's good that he's not married, because his wife's in trouble if she was existing. While we're here, let's talk about makeup as well. So I've never been like a fancy pants at makeup. Been pretty basic. I'm slowly learning more, but still I'm not like an artiste or anything. But I think it's really interesting to look at the mental side of makeup. Like, yeah, if there's any like psychological studies, I think that'd be really interesting. Because sometimes it is like a, oh, I'm just gonna feel extra on fleek today. Hell yeah. Other times it's like I'm disgusting unless I have makeup on. And yeah, I think it's something you kind of have to do in moderation. Like, I am not a person that's a makeup every day kind of person because that's just exhausting. And I find the more you put makeup on, the more you depend on it and the more you get used to seeing your face done up, that your other face isn't up to scratch anymore. Or people start being like, oh, you look sick. What's wrong? And it's like, I just don't have makeup on. So yeah, I think it's good to be like confident in your natural face, whatever that may be. That is harder for other people than others, just depending on how you see yourself, but also in what your face actually looks like. So if you have really bad acne, that can be more of a temptation to cover that up, or if you have kind of, you know, birthmarks or lots of redness or anything like that. And look, I just think it's fun and I like to do it. And sometimes it shouldn't matter, but I feel like if you put effort into how you present yourself, that is going to make you feel better about yourself and also kind of change how people see you. So like, for example, I have like the new classes today, and like, honestly, the kids probably don't really care if I have makeup on or not. But if I kind of look a bit warmer and friendly, which I'm friendly anyway, but if my face kind of matches my vibe, I don't look tired, that will kind of help. Then I got into this, like the first impressions things, and it's like, it's also just like through acting. You know, I wouldn't go to an audition without makeup on. I want to put my best foot forward, looking my best, feeling my best. And then it's hard as well, because if you're not wearing makeup and someone else is, at least for me, sometimes I like have that automatic like, oh, I feel inferior. Same if someone's like dressed up and I'm like in tracky dacks. I'm like, oh, I look like a child. So I think it's all just about balance at the end of the day, but I think it is a good skill to have, just feeling and looking more put together, as well as just for acting. I would get really frustrated at people because when it came around to doing shows, they wouldn't want to do their makeup or wouldn't know how to do their makeup. And it's just frustrating because like in this industry, unless you are the big time, you're pretty much doing your own makeup. Like, I think there's even people on Broadway that are doing their own makeup. And yeah, like, you just need to practice and take the time, and you don't need to buy anything crazy expensive. I don't. I'm a cheapskate. I don't want this coming across the wrong way, but I think even just like a slight change can change how you see yourself and how others see you. But at the end of the day, like, you need to have that inner confidence. You have that inner confidence that it's like, no matter what I'm wearing, I'm still me and I'm still awesome. And that's something I still struggle with at times. Use makeup wisely. Yeah, look, I'm kind of wishing I'd picked shorter books and like I could read it really quick, but it's also good because these are books that I wouldn't normally just pick up for the fun because they're kind of denser. So I'm like, it's good that it's given me a reason to read them because I'll read those other ones anyway. I still have so many books that friends have lent me and I'm like, I'm so grateful. Like, I want to share the book love, but like, you gotta understand, like, my reading list is insane. And yeah, I just want to kind of bookend some series before I move on to any new ones. It is about 10:30 on day 4. I left my camera in my car because I was just a very stupid scatterbrain yesterday. I printed out scripts for my class and left them in the building, so I didn't have the scripts, but it's fine. It's fine. Also, I've lost some laminated sheets that I have no idea where they went. I ended up reading 100 pages yesterday, so that's really awesome. I read about like 50 pages of Alias Grace last night, so that was great. I've read about 20 pages in bed this morning, in between some YouTube and TikTok. I really want to knuckle down and finish a book today, so. Alright, hello. I just finished work. I managed to catch a sprint again, so yes. So I didn't read much of Hitchhiker, but like, I tried. So I've read like 20 pages of Hitchhiker, It's still kind of sunny, so I might see if I can read outside at home or if there's like a cafe or something that's open. I want to keep going with Alias Grace as well because I'm really stuck into that. It's kind of hard to switch between because this is like very... it's funny, but just it can get a bit dense in the explaining of aliens and stuff. Okay, it is day 5 at like 10 or 9. And yeah, so yesterday I kind of took a bit of a break from reading because my brain was feeling fried. And I've just been exhausted going back to work this week. Just more time than I'm used to after just coming off holidays. So that's a thing, that's fun. But I still managed to read 136 pages yesterday, which is the most I've done so far. So like, ka-chow! So yeah, I did watch some TV. It's kind of tempting me to want to watch more TV. So today's been a bit of an adventure already. So I went to go make my morning tea and the milk was off. It stank. It was sour. Went to the shop, picked up milk. I've put out some washing. And now I'm going to read some Hitchhiker outside because it is sunny and I'm very excited about this. Hopefully I can finish Hitchhiker in just like a good stretch today. We shall see. I'm excited. Also, I've got to mention yesterday I ended up going to Macca's after work and just sitting there for an hour reading Hitchhiker and I read like 50 pages of it. So I'm feeling good. Woo! Okay, I just finished Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 1 book down. I liked it, but it's not my favourite. But it is because it's like a different style kind of thing. Yeah, so I'm kind of glad I'm finished with that. Because I'm just like, it was good, but I'm like, I'm ready to move on to something else. And I can finally say I've finished a book. Some people have already finished like 5, and I don't understand. I don't understand. Okay, it's day 6. It has been a slow day, my dudes. It's about like 4 p.m. So yeah, ended up waking up at 8 to do some reading sprints with Little Book Owl, which was fun. But I quickly abandoned that because I had to do some cleaning and just didn't end up coming back to it. I'm just feeling a bit out of sorts. Went and did karaoke for an hour for a friend's birthday. That was fun. And I have to go to a family shindig, but I'm tempted to just be like, I need to rest because I do. So I might read a bit now before we have to go. Good morning, girls. Good morning. Come here. You want me to let you out, don't you? Shake. Hey, shake. Alright, let's go. Okay, so I didn't end up finishing Alias Grace as I was hoping. But I think I could finish it today. I've got about 100 pages left. I do have rehearsal all day, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But also rehearsal is subject to change because it is raining and we have to be outside. But we might be fixing it somehow. Alright everyone, the reading rush is officially over. It is 12:03. And I finished this at like midnight. Look, it just ticked over to midnight, but I'm counting it. I'm counting it. So technically, I read 2 books. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm tired. I'm happy. I'm not happy with the conclusion of this though. I don't understand. I don't understand. So many threads. I will wrap this up properly in the morning and process this. Okay, it is Monday night, the day after the reading rush, so I'm finally actually gonna wrap this up. So as you would know from watching it, this is what I read for the reading rush this year. Not that there hasn't already been one. Yes, I read Alias Grace and Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I ended up giving them both 3 stars. I find it very difficult to not give something 3 stars. Alright, so let's start with the first book I finished, which was Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I enjoyed the tongue-in-cheekness, but I just feel like the execution and the style wasn't like my exact cup of tea, but I appreciate it for what it was. So this might even go down to a 2-star. It's still good, it's just not like my thing. Alias Grace, I ended up giving 3 stars as well. Now that I've had some time to just like sit with it, I kind of read some other people's reviews to kind of see their thoughts. And I think the frustrating thing is that we are inconclusive at the end, and it just kind of suddenly this semi-happy ending ending, which just felt very odd to me. So I think this is more just meant to be like a character study slash a study of humanity and like the objectivity of truth and sanity and all that kind of stuff. So I was very like captivated by this book, but it's just not your typical narrative style where you're not going to get your classic, let's tie everything up in a neat bow. Yeah. I just wish there was more. But I'm glad I read this. And I'm excited to read more of Margaret Atwood. So I tallied it all up and the results are in. I read 714 pages over the whole readathon. So go me. That's really good. That's about 100 pages a day. That sounds like doable to me. I think for the next reading rush, I am just going to strictly stick to fast books because that was really what held me back this year. So I'm going to be picking up more YA, maybe even some contemporaries, because I still have some Colleen Hoover I haven't gotten to that I really would like to. And yeah, I had a good time even if it was stressful. It's kind of not the best week it could have been in, but when is it ever going to happen that way? And yeah, I'm happy at the end of the day. So let me know if you joined the reading rush, what books you ended up reading, how many challenges, all that, the other. I think I did 9 challenges all up. When all was said and done, I finished 9 challenges. If we can even read them. Just kind of scan across. Yeah.